Oh, the strike one is there too. Hello.
Hi.
We're live.
And cool.
It's Sunday afternoon, and it's been a while since we saw Alex on here.
Hi.
Last time Alex was with me, it looks like you're the same height as me now. Your chair is lower. Last time Alex was on here, if you guys remember, if you saw that, Alex was in the hospital at that time. Now he's feeling better, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good thing my computer's muted there. But I asked you guys on my Facebook page to ask some questions for us about Gunpla or living in Korea or whatever. So I'm gonna check the questions, and we're not gonna stay on for too long. My wife and son and Alex's girlfriend are all over here just hanging out. They're gonna wait patiently for us. We've been out just kind of enjoying the day. A very nice sunny spring day here in Korea. Let me find the questions here. Anything you want to say? Insa? Insa?
Hi.
Sean Oak asks, I would actually like to know how living in Korea is like, especially living next to North Korea and all those nuclear launches and whatnot. Then again, you can't really trust the news, especially over here in the US, so I don't know what exactly is true. What do you know about that?
Pretty good question. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering how things are politically, like with the political climate and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I don't really know. I mean, I don't really hear a lot about the news, so I think that should be a good indicator as to like how big of a deal it is here in Korea. So I mean, we hear about some stuff, like if it's a big event, we hear about it on the news, but it's really not that big of a deal. And if it's not that big of a deal here, like a few kilometers away, then
it shouldn't be anywhere else.
I think no one in America really needs to be like really too worried about that yet. So, and just from what I can gather from other Korean people as well, it's really not a big issue that a lot of people are really worried about. 맞지? 안 들었어?
You guessed me?
아니. Alright, then Aubrey Coe asks, I'm still a beginner. When I use a file to sand down a nummark, it always have a scar on the surface. Did I do something wrong? Not exactly something wrong.
What did you use to sand it?
A file.
Well, depends on what kind of file it is.
Well, what you're doing is probably sanding a little bit too much. With a file, you need to file carefully, right? You need to, especially when it gets down really close, you file just until it gets just about level. And even when you just have a tiny little bit of nub still left, then I'd switch to sandpaper. Because, file, basically what you need to do is just sand after filing. And that'll smooth it out, But, of course, if you use a file, that will start to scar down into the plastic more than you want. So use a file at first, then hard sandpaper, hard grit, like 400 or something. Then softer sandpaper, finer, like 1000, 1200, or even 1400. Okay. What do you use?
I use a file and sandpaper.
I rarely ever use a file for nub marks. That's kind of overkill, I think. The sanding stick works a lot better. If you want something, like, I understand sandpaper is not always comfortable to use for just sanding a file. Sanding stick, though, is, I feel like, probably...
Well, I use the 3M the sanding cloth sponge.
Yeah.
They have like microfine, fine.
Sanding sponges. Yeah. Sure. I had one of those.
Okay. I like those.
Maybe I gave it to you. I had one and I never used it.
Yeah.
I think I might give it to you. Then P. Rekato asked, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but that's how it's spelled, P-I. So, asked, what Gundam or mobile suit do you think Bandai will make an RG of after the 00 Quant? I'm putting money on the Shinanju.
That's going to be expensive.
I guess it'd be in the RG is, this we have the 2500, 2700, or 3000.
Yeah.
Right, so I'd guess the Shinanju would be 27 or 3000, maybe. Because it is slightly large, but it's not, it doesn't have like huge wings or anything like that. It's just got The backpack is kind of big, but not that big.
Maybe, I don't know. I
Yeah,
would
any other
probably
idea?
think maybe something out of Build Fighters. They're pretty labeled.
Maybe
That's something from Build Fighters.
That could be cool. Of course, it was a couple of years ago that we saw the RG line art for the Goof, GM, and Ground Gundam.
Yeah.
So Bandai still has the artwork, and like, who knows how far they got into development of those before they kind of postponed them. So, if they're already like part
Ground
of
Gundam.
that would be really nice. I'd definitely be happy about that because the Master Grade is cool. It looks good, but it's definitely very dated. So an RG of that would be cool. We do have the new HG. It's nice, but of Easy 8 is cool. And then he had another question: is what are your opinions about the Iron Blooded Orphans non-grade 100 scale? You haven't built them yet, have you?
No, I haven't. I've bought them, but I haven't built them.
Which ones?
Twisted Barnacles. I want to do some damage with my backlog before I buy anything else.
Yeah.
The backlog is pretty crazy.
From my experience, I've built all of the 100 scale kits so far, and in the current process of building Barbatos 6th form, is about halfway done there. And then I have the Kimaris is over there. I'll be building that next. From my experience with them, they're nice. Of course, they're an upgrade of the HGs, of course, just because they have fewer seam lines and a lot more details. And I think the proportions are different. So if you like the proportions of the 100 scale or the HG, that'd be totally personal preference, but there's pros and cons. Of course, the 100 scales are more expensive. I don't know, some people like larger scale, some people just want something cheaper. In that case, the HG is fine. My opinion of the 100 scale so far has been, it's fine, nothing spectacular, but good. There are good points to it. Someone asked a question here in the chat. I just want to get to this one here too. Zach, you mentioned that the metal build Destiny will be re-released in November. Do you know where I can pre-order that? Just the Gundam, not the full package version. Pre-order the metal build. That's for, I don't think Senyo does that. You could ask him though, probably. That's Kazu Stealth. Any idea? If you're living in America, that's an option. Yeah. If you're living in America, I would say maybe Gundam Planet would be one option, but
yeah. Otherwise, maybe Tokyo Model Detective might be your best shot.
Tokyo Model Detective, if you guys don't know, is Darren. He's living in Japan there. He has like his business, proxy business of selling stuff. So you could contact him. He could get it for you, I'm sure. So just check out on Facebook, Tokyo Model Detective, and he could definitely sort that out for you if you don't want to go through a shop. Colin Brown asks, what was your favorite commission that you've done? Have you done? Well, that answers that. For me, I've really only done a couple. 2? I think just 2, basically. Is that right? I think so. Basically, the Wing Gundam, which I just finished, and then the big Zeku Schweifstern, that was a huge project I did last year.
Took a long time, too.
Yeah. Between the 2 of those, which one was my favorite? I was really pleased with how the Wing Gundam came out, but of course that was it's pretty much just painting. It didn't really involve any modification or anything. Zeku Schweifstern was definitely a lot better learning experience, I think. So I got to practice a lot of like scratch building joints and like kit bashing. I basically put like an RG frame into like HG armor on that. So that was a good learning experience, I think. So overall, I'd say that one was probably better just because, although, I don't know, it came out looking pretty good though too, I think.
Plus it's your first one. It's like, you never forget your first one. Like your first kiss, your first car, your first bike, whatever, you know?
Your first commission. Right up there with my first kiss. I don't think it's going to be quite as memorable, but it was a fun project. So I don't know. I get asked to do commissions relatively often, at least once a month, I'd say. But I really don't do them that often just because I just don't really have the time, first of all. And I think a lot of people who are interested in commission work don't realize how much it costs before they ask about it. So then when I tell them, okay, yeah, here's what that would cost. And then, of course, most people will say, oh, that's too expensive because it's expensive. Just in case anyone's watching this who is interested in commission work, just keep in mind that, like, you know, it takes a long time, so you need to pay someone for their time. So if you say, let's say, an HG kit, you have the cost of the kit, say around $20. The cost of shipping the kit once it's done, around $20. So that's already up to about $40 there. Then the cost of supplies, say on the low end, maybe just $10 for a couple things of paint, and all of that. And then so that's $50 there just before or even factoring in any work. And then so let's say that I quote you $200 for the commission for everything included. So that's $50 for all that stuff, $150 for the work. If that I am able to finish that whole project in 15 hours, that's only $10 an hour. It's very low. Realistically, it's probably going to take more than that, upwards 20 hours. I mean, depending on exactly
the amount of customization.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Exactly how much work goes into it. I mean, I don't work for minimum wage if I don't want to work for minimum wage. So, you know, and then there's also like the skill as well too. You know, you have to consider that skill, you pay for a skill as well. And I'm not the most skilled person, so, you know, I think the quotes that I've given people for commissions have been very, very reasonable. But even still, it's more than I think they had in mind. But, that's
Yeah.
And then Garrett Iverson asks, what would y'all like to see in the Gundam Armed Blood Orphans Season 2? Next original Gundam or the next original Gundam series? I don't know. You haven't finished watching IBO yet.
No.
You watched any of it yet?
Yeah, I'm up to like episode 5.
So about halfway.
I'm up to, yeah.
What would I like to see in Season 2? Better character development, but usually Season 2 usually doesn't happen much in Season 2.
Yeah.
What I've, you know, in most Gundam series, unfortunately, Season 2 is basically it just seems like they're just trying to stretch out the series at that point most of the time. So
Make some money.
Yeah. But ideally, I would like to see better character development, and basically, I just don't want it to be just the same thing as Season 1, just with some new Gundams, and basically, I don't know. But what you've seen of it so far, what do you think?
I think like Season 2 or not, I think it would actually be cool to have kind of like a cameo, or like let's say, for example, IBO starts after a lot of the other Gundam series in the timeline, right? So I mean, if they were to come up upon like the remains of, like, let's say like a Wing Gundam or just something from a different series, or, you know, they took the engine out of this one, or, you know, like just some kind of funky little cameo, I think would be kind of fun or interesting.
I forget if, I mean, I know about, like, in the story they had like the Calamity War, which was like 300 years before the story in the anime. But I forget if it's been said at all, if it actually falls into the timeline of like much after UC, or if it's a totally different universe. I forget if they said about that. Okay. Nadia? Okay.
Hi.
Oh. No. That's it for all of the questions that we have here. That's it for all the questions that I've got from Facebook. Oh, how about the next original Gundam series? Anything you'd like to see?
Next original Gundam series.
Like for the next series? Anything?
I wouldn't mind if they kept going with the Thunderbolt.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
It's too much of a teaser that ended in what's it?
4 episodes.
4 episodes, yeah.
Of course, a lot of people are hoping for a Crossbone series, but I think he's asking for like a totally new original series.
Yeah.
I don't know, something great. I think Iron Blood
How do you
Orphans.
answer that question?
I don't know. Just like what kind of things would you like to see in a Gundam series? Iron Blood Orphans started out greedy, but then it seemed like they kind of shied away from that, and they went just back to just kind of the normal kind of tone of most Gundam series later on. And I think partially that's probably because they did get some backlash at the beginning of the series. A lot of parents complained about this show being too violent for kids at the start. So like, I don't know. Of course, they have to make it at least accessible to kids, because that's where a lot of the model kit sales comes from. So unfortunately, a much more grittier series like Thunderbolt is good, but that they're not going to dump a whole lot of money into that.
Like, I mean, like if you think about watching a series when you're a kid, like if I watch Wing, like when I watched Wing when I was a kid and I watch it now, like the depth of my understanding of, you know, Wing when I was a kid and now is so different. You know, whereas if I watch it now, I understand everything that's going on, what's going on with the political climate, and who's on what side and stuff. Whereas when you're a kid, you just want to see some fighting. You don't care about any of the other things. You just want to see some action. You know, like for me, I really loved seeing Heavy Arms. So every time he was in action, I was like, oh yeah, I could care less about anything else.
The other thing about that though is that Wing also recycles tons of animation. So like watching it as an adult, when you watch it as a kid, yeah, you get excited every time it's an action scene. But now every time it's an action scene, it's like, okay, it's the same animation cycle that we saw before. So it kind of takes away. Yeah, watching it older, you get more of the political stuff, and I think the action scenes actually kind of are diminished a little bit for me, just because
I'm pretty sure that's how like kids today are seeing uniform. You know, like they could care less about any of the different factions. They just want to see a unicorn kill a whole bunch of stuff or fight, or you know, like that's it.
Sure, and Build Fighters too. I mean, why that was so popular is because they had a big fight in every episode. And it was cool. I mean, just for all the throwback Gundams. I mean, new fans wouldn't really be like, "Oh, it's that Gundam, it's that Gundam," because they don't know, right? But that was a good trick for Bandai to use to keep the interest of like older fans as well. All the cameos and stuff.
There's a couple.
Oh yeah. Someone asked what happened to PG Banshee Part 2. Part 2 of the review, or what do you mean Part 2? You mean just what happened to my PG Banshee? Just working on it in general. I'm planning to work on that more soon, later this year. I want to finish these projects first, and also want to work on the Mega Size Zaku too. So right now it's the HD Hygog and HGV2, and then the next 2 kits to work on will probably be the Banshee and the Zaku. But also want to work on the Gushan, 100 scale Gushan for GBWC.
Cool.
So there's a lot of things I want to work on. What other questions are there?
Nineball Stuff asks, has your pet or someone accidentally broken your Gunpla? If yes, how do you fix it? And if not, how do you protect it?
So my pets, my cats, have never broken my Gunpla because in my old apartments, they were never allowed in the Gundam room. Now they kind of come in here and they don't really mess with anything, so it's okay. You don't have any pets?
No.
But anyone else ever broken anything of yours?
I have a girlfriend.
Has she broken anything of yours?
No. So, not protect. I mean, if I break anything, it's usually me.
Yeah.
So as far as fixing stuff, like glue, sanding, and repainting, that's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple process.
Yeah, I mean, the kits are, I think, a lot more resilient. I think a lot of people, when they're more beginners, they're really nervous about like protecting the parts and breaking the parts and stuff. And I think they're a lot more resilient, I think, than you'd think. Like for example, here, a lot of people ask me about this when they see my backlog here. Is like, oh, those kits all built, or you just keep the boxes? Just to answer that question to everyone now, instead of answering individual comments, all these kits have, all these boxes have the kits in them. They're either built or not built yet. But even the ones that are built, I just keep them in the box. Like here's an example here. It's the 144 scale Gushan Rebake. It's just here, just in the box. There's no other packing or padding or anything like that. Just drop it in there and it's fine. It's not going to be broken. Even what's the worst, it's going to be broken. Like the V-fin, maybe. You can just glue it. It's not really a big deal. And it's probably not going to break. Baby's crying, so we should probably wrap it up pretty soon. Let's see if there's any other questions. This one, Lex Duke. How about Robot Damashi RX-78 Gundam anime version? How about it?
I don't know what that is.
I know what that is, but I don't really know what your question is.
What,
Lex Luke?
What is he asking? How about it?
I don't have it, and I'm not planning on getting it just because I'm not into Robot Damashi. I'm not into collecting them. It looks nice though. This
I haven't seen it yet. So.
The anime version in the series of Robot Damashi they're doing with from First Gundam, different mobile suits, and they're like stylized, like really retro looking.
Yeah.
They look really cool, and the articulation of them looks amazing. But I'm not planning on really buying any.
I like building my Gundams, not buying them.
Same.
Mm.
It says putting the models in boxes right after you build them is sad. I'm at that stage now. Yeah, I mean, for me, all the models that are in their boxes, like the models snapped up and they're just in their boxes. Basically, that's just a work in progress because I'll eventually paint that kit. Ideally.
Yeah. Ideally.
Yeah,
but,
that's the plan. Anyway.
If you keep it out, like let's say for example, like in the case of my place is kind of small. If I keep it on my desk, then other than if I were to dust it every single day, it's gonna get covered with dust. Or if I'm cooking at home, like oil gets air, it becomes an aerosol. It becomes it goes into the air. Then it's gonna fall on your gunpla, and then you're gonna get oil and dust stuck on your Gundam. So keeping in the box is probably one of the most ideal things to do to keep your gunpla clean.
Yeah, I want to display kits that are finished, and for me, just the snapped kit is not really finished. You can see I do have a few here. That shelf there, the Delta Plus, the Goof, the Camper, and the Big O, and the O. Big O, different series. Those are just snapped, but those are there because I am planning on reviewing those when I get the chance. Those ones up there, those are painted, so that's why those are up on display there. But I would like to get a glass case to put those in just because I don't want them to get dusty, but just at the moment, those are there. So that's, I don't think it's sad to put them in a box. I still have them, and the box is there. I can look at it whenever I want.
Other questions?
Favorite Gundam series and Gunpla line from Joe Seaman. Question, very common question.
I feel like depending on how I feel, the answer to this question sometimes changes.
Or which one? Series or line?
Favorite series.
For me, I always which one?
Well, Gunpla line, I would probably say. I think I'm perfectly UC line.
I mean, it means like HG, RG.
Oh, that one. Okay.
I guess.
I hate 1/144 scale. I hate it. Absolutely. Because my hands are huge. Well, his hands are pretty big, but I just hate 1/144. So any RGs and HGs I hate. So I mostly build anything above MG. So
you built. How many mega sites have you built? At least one. You have more than one?
Yeah, I have 3.
You built. How many have you built?
2.
Okay. But
yeah.
Joshua Fernandez, as soon as I saw him pop up in the chat there, I knew he was going to ask to see my cats. Still holding a pencil there. Favorite line for me is a little bit harder to answer. Probably Master Grade, just because usually Master Grade are the best in terms of this overall part separation, detail, articulation. If you take into account all of that stuff, usually Master Grades are some of the best. But there are a lot of HGs and real grades and other kits, non-grade kits that I like quite a bit. As far as series, I always answer that I like Turn A, Unicorn, and 8th MS Team.
Yeah. I like 8th MS. That's probably my favorite.
I really wish we would get some sort of kit of the Obsolus in any of its forms. The Xeon Mobile Armor.
Yeah.
There was a couple months ago, there was an announcement that Wave is going to be making one, but I haven't seen anything since then. So I don't know if that's canceled or what.
Yeah. I wish there would be more PGs, but I understand it's just difficult to engineer. It's just, I think they're what are they averaging? 1 new PG every 3-4 years.
Maybe
even longer.
Yeah, I guess it'd be
So,
something
I mean,
like that.
the Banshee and the Yorker, they're basically the same kit, just a different color. So I mean, that's
Those coming out back to back was
but I mean,
not really a big deal.
so
T-Shadow 9F's favorite grunt suit.
Grunt.
Yeah.
Probably the gem.
The original?
Yeah, I like the GM. But although I don't know, I'm kind of liking the new ideal grunt suits. I think the Grays is really nice. Yeah,
Grays is cool.
So,
the Grays is really cool. I quite liked the grunt suits in Wing, actually, as well. Like,
I like the Leo.
Leo was good, and then what's the other one? No, I suddenly can't remember. Mercury and Bay. Mercurius and Bay. Those were like not really grunt suits, so they're specialized. But what was the other one?
I don't know.
I forget the name.
Ares.
Not Ares.
No.
Not Ares. The one after that.
Ares, Leo, and
the one like in the later part of the series. Just shows you how much I like the suit because I can't remember the name. Not Taurus. The other one that I can remember all of those. It's the one that I can't remember. And there's two of them. There's the one, and then there was the two later. Not Taurus. It's not Taurus.
Skip.
Anyway, it'll come up there. Someone will say it, but anyway, yeah, those. I'm trying to think of what other series. I don't know, like Seed. I liked the Jin.
Yeah.
At the beginning of Seed, I think those were pretty cool. Very Zaku. Oh, Virgo. That was it. Yeah, Virgo and Virgo 2. Those are cool suits. Thank you. That was right. Virgo. You win. Ago Himawan. Yeah, but the T-Shadow 9 to the Serpent. Yeah, the Serpent custom was also a really cool grunt suit from Endless Waltz.
I like Serpent too.
That 1/100 scale kit is a pretty nice kit, actually.
If they made an MG Serpent, I'd definitely get on.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, that'd be really awesome. I guess it wouldn't be. I mean, modifying, taking an MG frame and putting the 100 scale armor onto it wouldn't be too bad. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Was there any other last questions before we wrap this up? Or is it a good one? We'll end with this. Big Boss 7 asks, "What do you think is the next MG?"
Next MG.
That's a good question. I have an idea of what the next RE and what the next RG are, but MG.
I feel like there's going to be like something from a different series, and then maybe an Iron-Blooded Orphans MG, maybe. But
disagree. I don't think there will be any MG for Iron-Blooded Orphans for a while.
Maybe.
But
well, I mean, 100 now. So.
Because they have the high res and they have the 100 scale, so that's already two 100 scale versions available. Making the MG would make the sales of all three
another MG
lower.
Yeah, maybe another build fighter kit.
Thunderbolt. They already said there's going to be a Thunderbolt MG this year.
Oh, right.
They already announced that. So that may be the next one.
We should make a 1/100 Howard GM party.
Are you just looking at my backlog? And
no. What is it? No. What's the kit with all the freaking shields?
Full armor.
Yeah, the
full armor Gundam?
Yeah, that one.
I imagine that's what it'll be. So for this year's MGs, I'm guessing we'll have an MG maybe beginning of fall, end of summer will be a Thunderbolt MG, probably the Full Armor Gundam or the Psycho Zaku. It'd be cool to get both of those, but I'd imagine it'd be one, if not both of those. And then in December, end of the year, we'll probably get the big kit again, like we usually get. Last year it was not that big. It's the V2. That was a very highly anticipated kit.
That's a lot of guns.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a big kit, but I don't know. It wouldn't be a big surprise. usually the December kit, they like to keep it as like a big surprise, right? And they already announced it like months ago that there's going to be an MG. If it's going to be a new Verka, I don't know. Imagine a Barbatos Verka. That'd be interesting.
That would be pretty.
But I don't know.
I highly doubt that would happen.
The big December kit is always such a huge surprise. If I really tried to think about it, I'm sure I could come up with a few options that would be like good guesses, but still, Bandai's so random. There's no way to know. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I could say that I would like to see in MG form, but I don't know.
Next MG. I'll just have to wait and see.
Just have to wait and see.
I would still expensive, probably.
I would still like to have an MG G-Self. G-Self, I mean, not everyone's into the G-Self, but
it's still...
You have to imagine at some point they're going to have to make an MG G-Self.
Yeah.
So I imagine they'll probably make it with the perfect pack, I'd say. If I had to guess which pack they're going to use, maybe the perfect pack, I think. But I don't know. Good opportunity for P Bandai kits there as well.
Yeah. With
the G-Self. They just make a P Bandai version with different packs. But there's a lot of kits like that. It would be great P Bandai fodder, and they don't take that opportunity. But someone said at MG Shinanju or MG Kshatriya. I would say that that's Big Boss who asked this question. MG Kshatriya, I would say, is probably 0% chance. An RE 100 scale Kshatriya, though, much higher chance, 80% chance, I would say, for that. Very likely that we are going to get an RE.
It's too much detail to go into one MG for
too much weight.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Bandai said that a few years ago at the time that they just can't do an MG because the binders are just too heavy. Of course, other companies have done it. Ellen, this one here. But yeah, that has weight issues, the binders, so that's the problem. They can incorporate metal parts, but then that makes it more expensive. So, anyway, so that's it. We're gonna wrap it up now, guys. Thank you for asking some questions. Thank you for coming to watch. You see, it was about 25, 30 people watching throughout. So I guess maybe this time is maybe not an ideal time. I think in America it's night. It's like 3 a.m. or depending on where you live in America, very late at night, not the ideal time. I usually do live streams at night when I think it's a better time for all the people living in America.
It's daytime here, but what are you gonna do?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people who didn't watch it live can watch it just later anyway, so no big deal. Hey, thanks for asking question, guys. Check out Alex's channel, Alex Dedoof.
There's not much on there, but okay.
You can check it out. Some cool, fun stuff about Korea. If you guys want to see more of just like see around Korea, his channel is much better for that. So, thanks, guys, for watching. See you later.
Bye.
Let's go. Bye-bye.